in Paris. This is SkyWatchTV for Tuesday, November 17th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. Europe had its paradigm violently shifted Friday night. You know the story by now. At least 128 dead, hundreds more injured in a series of terror attacks in Paris on Friday the 13th. These have been blamed on the Islamic State, and it is the second bloodbath in Paris blamed on Islamist militants this year. It threatens to put an end to the liberal vision of a Europe with open borders and a tolerant, multicultural society. Far-right political groups in France, Germany, England, elsewhere already using these attacks to build support for anti-immigration policies. Now, as I've said before, history shows us that diversity plus proximity equals violence, and that's even without the doctrines of demons that define the Islamic State. France is planning to call on Europe to reinstate border controls at a summit meeting scheduled for Friday. You can see a picture here of one of the border crossings from France into Belgium. No guards, no gates. It's like when we cross over from Missouri into Arkansas. And that's significant because French officials have ID'd the man behind the terror attacks as one Abdelhamid Aboud of Belgium. Sky News reporting that Aboud is also linked to the attack on a Paris-bound high-speed train that was foiled earlier this year by two off-duty U.S. soldiers who overpowered a heavily armed gunman. Police are also looking for a 26-year-old man named Salah Abdsalam. He reportedly helped with logistics and rented the car used by the gunman in the attack at the Bataclan concert hall. Police reportedly spoke to Abdsalam Saturday morning, when they pulled over a car near the Belgian border, but they let him go. French authorities have conducted dozens of raids since Sunday morning, turned up a number of weapons during this sweep. French warplanes pounding the Islamic State's capital in Raqqa, Syria, beginning Sunday morning. The next question, of course, is whether the French public will support sending ground troops into Syria to try to clean up the Islamic State. And if that happens, how does Syria and Iraq shake out after such an event? Well, we may end up with a strange scenario where President Assad is still in power, and Russia has control over western Syria, eastern Syria under NATO control, northern Syria and northern Iraq still basically independent Kurdistan, Iran in control of Baghdad and southeast Iraq, and the Islamic State possibly still running around in Anbar province, western Iraq. But where it goes from there is anybody's guess, because the root cause of this conflict is still the proxy war between Sunnis and Shias financed by Saudi Arabia and Iran. Whatever happens, pray that the few Christians who are still left in Syria and Iraq won't be forgotten when the power brokers sit down to make deals. The attack Friday led to some interesting meetings at the G20 summit going on now in Turkey. It appears that Western leaders are opening the door for Russia to come in out of the cold. David Cameron of England, Angela Merkel of Germany, President Obama, all sitting down with Russian President Vladimir Putin to get him on board with the fight against the Islamic State. Now, an interesting note from the summit. This is reported by a political blog, DC Whispers. The photo op that you see here with Mr. Putin pushed by longtime Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett. Right after this coffee table moment, Putin was seen laughing with his staff and looking over at President Obama with an expression that observers describe as derision. Shortly after this, the image of President Obama shaking hands with Turkey's president and Muslim Brotherhood supporter Recep Tayyip Erdogan was displayed on the many video monitors that are scattered around the G20 meetings. Mr. Putin reportedly pointed at one of the screens, shook his head, and referring to President Obama said, "He's a child. He's a child." I'm no fan of President Obama, but I would like foreign leaders to have a little more respect for our head of state. One more note on the Paris attacks. The Syrian passport discovered next to one of the suicide bombers, the body of one of the suicide bombers, has been declared a fake by a number of intelligence experts. Not only doesn't it make any sense for a suicide bomber to carry his passport to his very last act on planet Earth, experts say the ID numbers don't match up with those on authentic Syrian passports. This doesn't necessarily mean that the Paris attacks were a false flag event. In other words, a staged event created to push the French public into accepting a policy like invading Syria that they wouldn't have before. It's more likely, as some experts have explained, that there is a brisk black market trade in phony Syrian passports because it's a lot easier to get into Europe if you claim to be a Syrian refugee. Once you get into the Eurozone through Croatia, Greece, Slovenia, then your next stop is Brussels, Munich, or Paris. Remember those border controls. And of course, the Islamic State, whether it's really responsible for this or not, is taking credit for it. It's part of their psychological operations to instill fear in the hearts of people like you and me. They've already issued a threat to attack Washington, D.C. through a website that it's known to use. Now, just a comment here, because it seems that there's a very small but vocal part of the internet that interprets any comments about the Islamic State as somehow evidence that I've drunk the Kool-Aid of the mainstream media. If you're a relatively new viewer to this program, I will say again for the record that I am fully aware that the Islamic State was created by Western intelligence agencies. This has been documented by Defense Intelligence Agency reports obtained through the Freedom of Information Act by the government watchdog group Judicial Watch. I reported on this in May when Judicial Watch first publicized these documents, showing that the Defense Intelligence Agency knew in August of 2012 that continuing to arm al-Qaeda in Iraq would lead to a situation where the group would gain enough strength to declare its own independent Islamic state in Syria and Iraq and destabilize both of those nations. That's exactly what's happened. So, yes, I do know that the American government is responsible for creating this monster. However, having said all that, it doesn't make the people in Paris any less dead. It doesn't make the grief of the families and friends of the victims any less real. And it doesn't mean that the Islamic State doesn't still want to kill you and me. In other news, the Kremlin accidentally leaks news of a brand new massive nuclear weapon. A report aired on state-run Channel 1 TV in Russia, showing a report on a meeting between President Putin and some of his military chiefs. The image above was clearly visible for a short period during the broadcast. Now, what this document seems to describe as a super torpedo called the Status 6. It's designed to destroy an enemy's coastline by creating a wide area of radioactive contamination. It is, in effect, a giant underwater dirty bomb. Details from the diagram indicate that the range of this device, 6,000 miles, that's like the distance from New York to Tokyo. The warhead, 100 megatons. More about that in a moment. Wrapped in cobalt-59, which would transmute during an explosion to highly radioactive cobalt-60 with a half-life of more than 5 years. One Russian military expert told the BBC that this device, detonated just off the coast of, say, Washington, D.C., would create a radioactive tsunami 1,600 feet high that would kill everything up to 900 miles inland. Now, frame of reference, that's about the distance between Washington, D.C. and Little Rock. With the Appalachian Mountains in the way, probably wouldn't go that far, but you could see how something like this would devastate everything on the East Coast from Washington as far north as New York City, perhaps even farther. Now, keep a few facts in mind. First of all, the largest nuclear device ever detonated in history was the Tsar Bomba, a device that the Russians tested in the Arctic in 1961. That was 58 megatons. 58 megatons. This Status 6, reportedly a 100 megaton device. The Tsar Bomba was 3,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Add to this the unlikely possibility that details of a new secret weapon would make it past the censors on state-run television in Russia. And it's very likely that this story was leaked for the benefit of the White House, the Pentagon, and the CIA. Just a little reminder from Russia that anti-ballistic missile weapons systems, which we are deploying throughout Eastern Europe, can be bypassed with a little ingenuity and a lot of money. Speaking of military weapons, military-grade weapons have gone missing in Massachusetts, stolen from an Army Reserve depot in Worcester Saturday night. The FBI reports that thieves came in through the roof of a building filled with locked doors and stole half a dozen M4 semi-automatic rifles and 10 pistols. Now, if terrorists were really planning something major, I assume they'd have a better plan than getting their hands on to get hands on weapons than this. But still, the FBI felt it was necessary to release a statement saying that there is no indication that these missing weapons are connected to any type of terrorist event whatsoever, or terrorist threat, rather. A couple of other notes. We probably need to revive the use of the word heresy. A play featuring Jesus as a transgender woman being performed this week at the Outburst Queer Arts Festival in Belfast, Ireland. The play, called The Gospel According to Jesus, Queen of Heaven, reimagines the Messiah returning to earth as a transgender. The author says that criticism is coming from people who've never seen the play. Don't need to. And we have a new worst idea ever for combating the threat of global warming. Even as Antarctic ice thickens and temperature readings over the last 19 years disprove the models that predict imminent doom from overheating, a Dutch artist, Arnie Hendricks, gave a recent TEDx talk in which he proposed genetically engineering the human race to shrink us to the size of chickens. Yes, as 50-centimeter humans, we'd only use 2 to 5% of the resources that normal-sized humans use, which could make life sustainable on planet Earth for 7 billion humans. Here's an artist's representation of Shaquille O'Neal, shrunk down to chicken-sized, from 7'1" down to 1'8". Hendricks, who is 6'4", said this may be necessary, although there are potential problems, like the fact that a 1'8" human being would have a brain the size of a walnut. Apparently, Mr. Hendricks has already got a head start on the rest of us in that regard. This idea that humanity needs to genetically or robotically or somehow through technology fundamentally redefine itself to preserve or guarantee the long-term survival of the human species is becoming something of a religion. And it's the reason that we have spent so much time and effort into creating and now promoting the release of the new documentary film, officially released today, Inhuman, the Next and Final Phase of Man, is here. More on what you'll get when you order a copy of the film at the end of this program. And another discussion in the series we've been calling Genetic Armageddon airs tonight on SkyWatch TV. That's 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Christian Television Network, DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, or the Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. Talking about, it's a discussion with holistic veterinarian Dr. Gene Hovey on how cutting-edge science and the desire for profits are creating a situation where not only are our pets unhealthy, but it is apparently changing our dogs at the genetic level. They weren't designed to eat corn-based kibble. Again, that's tonight, SkyWatch TV. If you can't watch it on satellite television, you can watch the internet stream on the Christian Television Network's website. That is ctnonline.com. Registration spots are closing out quickly for the 2016 Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference. That's July 14th through the 17th of 2016 at the Pikes Peak Marriott. 24 speakers on geopolitics and Bible prophecy. The conference, as of last check, is about 3/4 sold out. So you haven't reserved your place yet, do so soon. Information and registration available online at prophecywatchers.com. Your comments, questions, and feedback are important to us. Please send those to dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.
Coming exclusively from SkyWatch TV for a very limited time starting November 17th, 2015. When you purchase the new documentary film Inhuman and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie from SkyWatch TV, you'll receive the largest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history. An unprecedented $300 in free books, audio sets, and DVDs to add to your library or to give away as gifts during this holiday season. Included in this limited time giveaway are never before offered free audio sets. Over 30 hours of the most sought after interviews in history with global experts combined on a special 2-disc volume set discussing the unfolding genetic Armageddon now underway and what you need to know to survive the future. Featuring Something Transhumanism This Way Comes, The Coming Replacement Humans, The Days of Noah, The Coming Zombie Apocalypse, Conspiracy Theory, Psychotronic Warfare. Also, for a very limited time, in addition to the never-before-offered free best-selling audio sets, if you order before this special offer expires, you'll also receive the multi-part SkyWatch TV special investigative report on Inhuman the documentary and Dead Pets Don't Lie, the award-winning book Forbidden Gates, Pandemonium's Engine, the best-selling DVD by dog behavior expert Joe Artis, The Natural Dog Training Method, the breakthrough book for pet enthusiasts everywhere, Do Our Pets Go to Heaven? 2 additional mystery books with a $40 value. And if you're one of the first 3,000 customers to place your order during this limited time offer, you will also receive, absolutely free, the groundbreaking WorldNet daily film, The Last Pope, featuring Tom Horn. Place your order beginning November 17th, 2015. Altogether, the never-before-offered free 6 full audio series on a 2-disc volume set plus the 5 free books and 2 additional DVDs total an astounding $300 giveaway to add to your library or to give away as gifts during this holiday season. So it's urgent that beginning November 17th, 2015, you order the new documentary film Inhuman and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie for only $39.95 to also receive the largest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history. But please understand this offer will end without notification and is on a first-come, first-served basis starting November 17th. So be sure to visit SkyWatchTV.com to follow the countdown to the greatest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history. Order the new documentary film Inhuman and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie for only $39.95 to also receive the largest giveaway in SkyWatch TV history.